Wow, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sue and Elle, for your prayer, and everybody for your real friendliness and joy expressed as we began our service today. What a wonderful way to start. There's so many choices of how we can do things. It's really great when joy bubbles out. Marie Kondo would love us all, and we ought to keep leaning into whatever sparks our joy, whether or not it lives in our closet or in our kitchen or anywhere else. We ought to just like get it out there and spark our joy. And Tom and Hope are cheering because their joys have four legs and they live out in the field. So, it's really good to know what your joys are so that you can lean into that and hang out and make yourself available to it. This morning, just before service, I got a phone call from my two youngest grandkids. They were on the boat with my son fishing, and they were disappointed that they didn't have any fish yet. They were saying, geez, we've been out here and there's no fish. And I said, well, so what are you thinking about out there? Well, we're thinking about, geez, there's no fish. And I said, what if you think about they're over there, or maybe they're gone deeper because they don't like the heat, or what about, maybe you need a new worm. Go and check it out if your worm has gotten nibbled on. No, I haven't had a nibble. Well, go check, put a juicier worm on there. Think about what you want. And they went, oh, do you think that would make a difference? I said, well, it certainly can't hurt. And they went, okay. So it was great. I told them that I was going to join you and that's what we were going to talk about today, that we're going to talk about the ideas that we have and how they co-create our reality. And, the prayer was perfect lead-in for that, and so is the song. There's a lot of other ditties we could have been singing along with today, but we weren't. We're singing that one because it's a choice where we put our attention. And this country, however fragile it may be at the moment or ever was, whatever issues lie underneath the obvious surface and always have, no matter all of that stuff, it's still where we've chosen to be. And since we've chosen to be here, then why not give it our best, right? And what would that mean? I was in Salt Lake City last week. I did a 1,900-mile road trip in the past 2 weeks. And oh boy, I love my little sporty car, and it's a hybrid, so I get great mileage. And if I'm not careful, I'm doing 100 on I-80, but I had such a wonderful time. And one of the things that I did was I was meeting with a friend of mine who is the Mormon stake president for South Salt Lake City. Now, there's a lot of Mormons in Salt Lake City, and there's a lot of people from all over the world, much of it thanks to the Mormons. And here's my friend Sean, and he inspires me so much by how he looks at life and the choices that he's making. And, without going into, the parts that I resonate with and the parts that I don't resonate with, because there's that, of course, everywhere we go, even partnerships, even marriages, there's things you like and things you don't like. And so that's true with any relationship we have. And the choice is, where do we put our attention? So Sean and I have come to understand that we each are deeply dedicated to our faiths, and our faiths are somewhat different on the surface. But underneath it, there's this thread that runs through it all that says we are connected, to this infinite presence. And however way the language of our religion of choice works, you can't deny that. And every religion affirms that. And so now that we have that handled, we can go on to the business of however it is we want to live. And it doesn't matter whether he's a Mormon and I'm a New Thoughter, or a New Liver, or I don't know, a New Heart, I don't know, something. I don't know what we should call ourselves. But unity is the thing we have in common. He feels at one with his God, and so do I. And at some level, we both have extrapolated that to feel one with each other and everyone else. So when we get together, it's this big celebration of life, whether it's just the two of us or not. And usually we meet over coffee, or, this week we actually had dinner so we could have a whole long talk. And what was so wonderful is that, our political views are, God knows what they are. We don't talk about them, but not too dissimilar, I suppose, at the essence of things. Because at the essence of things, we have committed our lives to the idea that the main thing is to have the main thing be the main thing, no matter how it shows up. And the main thing is that we're always one with the infinite. This morning, I was writing a text to my cousin, who is towards the end of her life, and has been fighting colon cancer for a long time. And she's losing that battle. And, a lot of people are not comfortable talking to people at this stage of their life, because the inevitable can be so terrifying to us, or so sad, or we are carrying around ideas that it means the end of all that's good. But she doesn't have that idea, and nor do I. We talked on the phone and we had a frank conversation about the ideas we have about this stage of life. And that's I had to pray myself up before I made that call, because I have my human side. I have that, stuff that creeps in about what will it be like for kids. But, none of us leave here alive. None of us do. We're all going to return to the source. And so who knows why, now or later. So I just am filled with this sense that no matter what it looks like on the outside, what's really happening on the inside is deeper than those secrets that are just under the surface, or those judgments, or those fears, or those concepts, or those ideas that we need to be afraid of each other, that it's all going to hell in a handbasket, that if we're not careful, we could lose everything. And I have enough world experience to know what some of that looks like around the world, because there's a lot of countries that have lost everything. There's a lot of risk in being a democracy. It's fragile. It takes actual responsibility. More than even just singing the song on the 4th of July, it takes living the idea that it is more correct to be in shared leadership than to let somebody take care of us. And however that way gets manifest, history has pretty much proved that that's true. That as benevolent as dictators can be, and some of them are truly very benevolent. I know I was, when I was more dictatorial than I was more surrendered. I did it for the best of intentions, and probably you did too, if any of you are recovering dictators yourself. We have this stuff in us. It's not relegated to those famous characters in history. How do you think those famous characters get to express that stuff? Everything we feel is energy, and it goes out into the world, and it has to amalgamate somewhere. And so let's say it amalgamates in a character that's an atrocious dictator. That's so easy to judge. It's so easy to feel separate from. But what, in fact, is true? That's a reflection of the part of me that's like that. So can I forgive myself that? Do I have an idea that that's wrong and I'm right? I know I spent years in that idea. what's your point of view? POV, you see that everywhere. What's your point of view? Every movie, every book, every song has a point of view. Every life has a point of view. It's your idea of what is, right? So what's yours? And what have they been? If you look back, you can see your points of view have likely changed over the years. Thank goodness for wisdom and a little more self-awareness and a little more clarity and a little support from your friends or your sponsors or your, practitioners or whatever. Good books, good community. We change. So if we judged ourselves as wrong back then, we wouldn't have had the experiences that let us become who we are today. Imperfect as we may be, we're here. We're not sitting home cooking up any theories that have us even more divided. We're not sitting home writing, stories of how awful it is to networks that thrive on that. We're not. We're making a different choice because we have a different idea. The key is, can we get our attention off of those bad guys who are doing those things and realize that just like us, everybody is living their spirituality to the best of their ability. That's the challenge. It's in that us and them mindset that we find ourselves today called into spiritual service. And we all have it. We all have the us and them in little ways. And so the us and them in the world is what we deserve. That's what this teaching would have us know. Unity principles, science of mind principles, Tao principles, they're all the same. We get what we are. We create, we co-create with our beliefs. And so our ideas are the things that focus our attention and our actions, our choices, our words. And so it's so important to know what is our idea, what's our point of view in general. And sometimes that's a rude comeuppance. Sometimes it has to hit you over the head like a 2x4 2 or 3 times, with life really being hard and knocking you down before you can get the idea like, oh, this is not because, I deserve to be knocked down because I'm bad. It's because life is trying to break out in its joy and it can't while I have this idea of separation. What if it were true that peace is our natural state and that everything that happens unlike it is not punishment to make it hard to choose to be in peace, but actually opportunity to let go of the dissonance we have about it? What if everything that comes along, everything, is the answer to that greater prayer, that greater idea that America is beautiful, from sea to shining sea, that we are all here with the purpose of liberty and justice for all? What if that was our focus? What if that is what we believed? What if we could extricate ourselves from the amount of polarity and separation there is, say no to the fear that's knocking on our door, or the neighbor that wants to tell us about how awful it all is, and say, honey, I just can't go there with you. Just, if you must, okay, but not with me, please. If we could learn to set parameters to be more porous, to let it have safe passage through our consciousness without judging the person who's doing it. That is huge, huge, huge work. I mean, just think about who it is in your life, close to you, your in-laws, your grandkids, your neighbors, whatever. Think about how it is to practice this there. We don't have to go to a big war to try to look for peace. It's not there. Actually, it's not in the big war. It's right here. in our little lives, our wonderful, little, powerful lives where we create with our ideas. So I ask you to ask yourself, what are the ideas that are cycling around in your mind for more than just a day or a week or a month? But what's generally your kind of perspective on things? Just take a moment and tell yourselves the truth about that. And ask yourself, is that the life you want to create? Do we want to create that life that is reflected in that whatever idea that's cycling around? When I ask myself that, I find things that I didn't know were still there. I find shreds of old ideas. I find deep tap roots of ideas that I don't want to face. It's all there. This is the garden. This is the playing field. This is the place to practice. This is where peace breaks out. And how it happens here affects it all. And, I've had students say, that is just too slow. That's too slow of a way to do it, person by person. We need to go out there and get a movement going and make it happen. And there's truth to that. It's because that focuses people on the whole issue, right? But it happens here. And we get the government we deserve. We get the lover we deserve. We get the job we deserve, the lifestyle we deserve. And, that's hard medicine because a lot of us are dealing with really difficult things. Not that we would ever choose them. There's difficult things. I mean, I have people in my life facing real difficult things. I mean, real difficult things. And probably you do too. That causes you deep pain and worry, just as it does for me. Until I say, wait a minute. It's true. It's hard not to worry as a mother or a sister or a daughter or whatever. But what do I know for sure, and how can I bring it here? How can I respond to this situation with love? For me, it's with peace. How can I respond? The idea that I have about peace is irrevocable. I have it now. It is a taproot that is so deep that it's deeper than how I don't even know the best tree with the best taproot. But whatever it is, that's where my idea about peace lives. And it came to me through lots of challenge and lots of opportunities to imagine that every difficulty that was happening is the answer to prayer. The prayer that I am free of that emotional pain. I am free of that blame and judgment. I am free of that fear because I choose to make peace with it. Because I choose to make peace with myself about it. I can't change it. That's the work of the collective. That's the work of the infinite through all of those people. But I can change my experience of it, which means that I contribute to the collective a different energy. And that's the best we can hope to do. Well, I write my poems, I write my prayers, I believe that they make a difference, but I no longer try to have them be the thing that's going to change it all. I do it because it's the dance of my soul. I do it because it sets me free to enjoy this moment as it is, fully accepting what is here, knowing that I either invited it or it showed up because I ignored its little signs, or that it showed up because I indulged its little needs, or it just showed up because I need it and I'm not courageous enough to see it. But everything is peace wanting to be expressed in my life. That's what I know for sure. That's the biggest idea I have. That's the most nurturing idea I have. And I talk about it every time I have a chance. And hopefully it's in new and different ways each time so that you don't get tired of my idea. And maybe, part of my idea will resonate with you and you'll find a place to lean into that idea too. So I didn't keep track of the time, but I don't know how much more time I have. If somebody could give me a signal, I'd like that, because I haven't looked at my notes or thought about what I was going to tell you today. So I just need to get to the essence so I can do that. But so please, somebody give me, is it 2 minutes or 5 minutes? Harker, would you do that, or send me a text or put it in chat or something? Sue, what did you say? 10 minutes. Oh, really? No. No. Hope wants 15 more. Well, let me tell you that if the main thing is the main thing, that can be the main idea. The main thing is to have the main thing be the main thing. Reverend Edwards said that. I have never forgotten it. It is a pillar of my faith, because the main thing is there, waiting for me to recognize it. But if I don't let it be the main thing, it's just a possibility. It's just an idea, along with all the other ideas. But if I let it be the main thing, if I believe that I live in a oneness with the infinite presence, and that my purpose is to be a place for it to be expressed, that I provide a mold for it, my dog's snoring, if I provide a mold for it to flow through me, that I am in alignment with it, because that's my purpose, to be the place where God shows up. And what is God's purpose? To express, to be itself wherever it can, however it can. So we are free. We're always free if we let ourselves be. I remember Marlo Thomas had a record, an LP. That's how long ago it was, called Free to Be Me. And it's so filled. I've got it still. I just don't know anybody that has an LP player, but it's so filled with great words. If you were free, what would that look like? What do you wish you could be free to be? Just think about it for a minute. I want to be free to be we are born to be that. We are born to be free, to be that which we yearn for. And there is nothing to stop that except the ideas that we've created or allowed to be created in the world. And the antidote to the ideas that don't work for us, Scoop Nisker was a reporter in San Francisco in the 70s, and he used to say, if you don't like the news, go out and make some of your own. I mean, really, because that's it. We're free to make news of our own. We're free. Like, I got a phone call this week from the manager of this community where I live. And usually my computer is facing this way, and I look out at this magnificent mulberry tree. It has huge leaves. It is so interesting in each of its communications. In the spring, its little buds are so beautiful, and then it puts out this thing that puffs terrible amount of pollen to anybody who's susceptible. But it's so much fun. It's watching it dance all spring long. It's like, poof, poof, try this. Imagine that. And I sit here and I watch it. And in the summer, the leaves, and then the squirrels, they go up in the trees and they look for those tender little leaves and they eat as many as they can. And the tree doesn't care because the tree puts out so many, there's enough to share. And there are a gazillion trees on that, leaves on that tree right now. And in the summer, they provide so much shade. They shade the whole side of my house. I sit outside in my meditation chair and in my little garden in the shade. And every day they're part of my gratitude. And in the winter, and in the fall, they're yellow. And the color is so fantastic. And they fall and they make this sound when it's towards the end of their life, in that, just like Freddie, but only, the tree, the book about Freddie. Only they're not maple trees, they're mulberry trees, and these yellow leaves fall to earth in a symphony. They're so wonderful. Sometimes they're like 50 at a time, and they all the way down. And in the winter, when there's no leaves at all, this tree is majestic and strong. And we all have places in our life that have all those aspects, right? Where it's new and juicy and it's inspiring us like this to, step into the newness. And then we're in the richness of the summer and the fullness of the prosperity or the abundance. And then, it's just like the glory of this stage of transformation from summer to winter, that sometimes it's hard to let go of those leaves. It's hard to see how beautiful they are. And then there's the winter, when all you see is the foundation of the thing, when all you can do is know the truth of your faith, because it doesn't seem visible anywhere. But if you remember that you are just like that tree, that your taproot goes really deep, and during the midst of the time when it seems bare, it's the juiciest time of all, because it is when the roots are going deeper. It's when the soil is nurturing. It is when the tree is bringing all of its life force into greater activity. It's all happening on the unseen side of life. In our life, it's the same. There is something just like that seeks to break through into your consciousness, that you go, hey, I love the winter. It's a time for reflection. It's a time to know myself. It's a time of developing trust. I choose to trust here. I choose to trust when nothing shows up that looks like what I want. I choose to trust it because I have lived through these cycles for 10 years. So when they called me on Friday to say they're going to cut the tree down, I was not happy at all. I said, well, you can't. She said, well, yeah, of course we can. We own the tree. The tree's here, and it's damaging your neighbor's foundation. And it's a worry. And it costs us $400 a year to prune. I said, I'll pay it. She said, well, it's not about that. It's just in the way. I said, but it's a tree. And all my attachment to what I didn't want to give up was like right here. And it doesn't help that PG&E are forced right now. It's not their fault, and it is the result of their actions. They're needing to cut down a gazillion trees all throughout California. My son's neighborhood just lost about 150 ginormous oaks and pine trees. It just looks horrible. So change will happen, and sometimes it looks horrible. This tree is going to go. I'm going to beg to see if it can't last through the summer to provide shade and more time for me to love it up. But in fact, I have to let it go. And I have to let it go. And so my prayer today was, how grateful I am for that tree. And I will always be grateful for that tree, even though I have to let it go. And anything else that I'm attached to that I have to let go. I am free to respond consciously or not. I am free to not react. If I can deepen my own taproot of faith, I won't react. I will respond with gratitude, with appreciation, with kindness, with respect, with love, with peace. So to me, this day reminds me to notice where I am misusing my freedom. to notice where I'm indulging in my attachment or justifying my limitation. You know, Richard Bach said, justify your limitations and they're yours. I mean, that's the power of mind, right? What you focus on is what you get. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. That's the power of our word. So what are we? And what do we want? And where's the gap? And that's where to put peace. Make peace with that gap. It's like, wow, I thought I was doing all the right stuff, but I see that I still have this judgment. And just see it. You know, we are so loved, we cannot fail. We cannot. No matter if we fall down and end our life face down into a puddle, we still can't fail because we have done the best we could. We all are. I might think somebody could do better, just like I sometimes think I could do better. But I have to have the main thing be the main thing. And when I do that, I have to know that everybody is doing the best they can. And when I feel that, I'm a little more open to listen. And when I'm a little more open to listen to an opposing view, I'm a little more willing to be at peace with it, no matter what it is. And then that person feels less resistance from me, and they're a little more open to listen to me too. And that's how the change happens. I've done it with all my cantankerous neighbors. They're not my favorite people. They're, here waiting for the end to come, and I'm not. And so I had to change my relationship to them. Otherwise, I would have not been able to be here. It would have been too dangerous for me to live with that much judgment. And what a great opportunity has been. Now when I see them, I go, wow, I'm so grateful that I climbed up that wall and over it to meet them where they are. I don't have to like them. I just have to be free to let them occupy their space and be free to occupy mine. It's freeing, literally. So our job is to make the choice to think what we want and to have the ideas going forward for our country that we want to live in and for our life. What is the idea that we want to prevail in our country? And how can we nurture that with our thoughts? Because I promise you, we are co-creating it. So let's co-create it in something that we feel is safe and healthy for us, is joyful, has possibility for everyone. Let's think about liberty and justice for all and what that means. Let's think about kindness. Let's think about the golden rule. Let's know that peace is breaking out everywhere in this country. And as Kathy Hearn would say, it's falling together by appearing to fall apart. Let's know that it's falling together. That democracy is stronger than we think. That we are stronger than we think. That life is stronger than anything against it, and wild horses cannot drag it down. Even the ornery ponies that I've had in my lifetime cannot drag down this idea of a rich, vibrant, shared reality called democracy. I have to live it in order to feel like I'm in integrity. So this is our charge. Thank God for the flag. Thank God for the reminder. Thank God for the songs. Thank God for the mistakes. Thank God for all that came before us that did every part that they did, and all the ones who are still battling with it. We are meant to be a unity of people. That's what we're meant to be. A unity of people and a unity of nations. And this is our time. This is the moment to know it, to decide it, to claim it, to believe in it. We don't even have to go talk about it. We just need to see it and live it. So I'm thrilled, even though I'm still a Canadian, and I always will be, I'm thrilled to live in America at this moment in time, because it requires all of my best. Every bit of it requires every bit of me to make peace with myself and all that I see, and know that the main thing is still to let the main thing be the main thing, and that Jyoti is the main thing. God is all there is. And I know that. I give thanks for that. And I know it for you, just like I know it for me. And I know it for this country and all countries and all people in the world. So I am free. In this moment of my consciousness, I am free. And I forgive the lapse an hour and a half ago, or the lapse that might come later today. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for believing in the same idea. Thanks for all that we are and all that we do. Thanks for the way we serve it. Thanks for the way we show up for it. Thanks for the way we live it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Freedom is our choice. Blessed be. So it is. I'm going to read you something from today's Science of Mind magazine for July 4th. Yesterday was Ernest Holmes saying, I trust in nature for the stable laws of beauty and utility. Spring shall plant, and autumn garner to the end of time. Today is freedom to be, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Freedom is not the right to live as we please, but the right to find how we ought to live in order to fulfill our potential. Freedom is not the right to live as we please, but to find how to live in order to fulfill our potential. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ernest Holmes says in this thing called You, the freedom which the all-creative wisdom has designed for humanity is marvelous beyond human perception. I give thanks for freedom, that it is always here and it is always my choice. It's always available. I give thanks for these moments of reflection. I give thanks for the quiet time that each of us takes to realign, to use our internal compass and get back on the path of peace that heads into true north all the time, that's built with our conviction that choosing builds the path, builds the solidity of the life we really, truly are here to live. We are each blessed as we are each the spiritual reality, the outpicturing of God, and born to realize the great joy and possibility of our nature. I give thanks for all of this. I give thanks for the richness of the silence, where we are more easily able to remember that we're born to live completely, fully, in whatever way is most meaningful to each of us. So I know that it's good. I let it be so. In my waking, I choose it. And that is right here and right now enough to know that the main thing is the main thing. And it is here for me, and I can use it. And it can use me. Perfect harmony. I am the branch, you are the vine. I am the branch, you are the vine. I am the branch, you are the vine. I am the vine, you are the branch. I am the vine, you are the branch. I am, you are, I am, and all is well. So it is. We are one. We are one. I am you, you are me, we are one. And in this unity, we all live in harmony. For peace has come, 'cause we are one. For peace has come, 'cause we are one.